Welcome to Tansson TV Plus. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Mom.
Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Yep, thank you for joining with us again.
Yes, as you know, we always love doing this. And Mom, we're speaking about a TV movie.
Yep, we are, Brandon. We're on our Monday movie, and today we're actually talking about a TV movie called The Facts of Life, and we're doing the episode where they go to Paris.
Yes, and so The Facts of Life Goes to Paris, released on September 25th of 1982.
Yes, it did. All right, Brandon, you ready to hear a brief synopsis about the movie?
Mom, you can go right ahead.
Alrighty. So Mrs. Garrett actually goes to culinary school in Paris. While Mrs. Garrett's in culinary school, the girls actually go to a sister school outside of Paris, and they go to class there. And then toward the end, the girls are able to they're given a couple days to explore Paris, but the girls decide to actually escape from the group from the group rather, and so they go and explore on their own. And so it's really about their adventures and while they're by themselves, and then along with Mrs. Garrett as she completes culinary school.
Well, Mom, thank you so much for that.
You're welcome, Brandon.
And first of all, to give some information, this released 4 days before season 4 of The Facts of Life began. But Mom, what did you think about this TV movie?
All right. And just so the audience knows, one of the things that Brandon and I are doing this season is we're going to talk a little bit about the facts of life, going a little bit more in depth about the show. We absolutely love the show, and this is something we want to do periodically throughout while we tape our TV discussions. So anyway, just over my overall thoughts, just to let y'all know that why did we choose this? Well, The Facts of Life had two TV movies that were made while the show was on. The original show ran. And so we wanted to make sure that we took a look at both of those movies to see if it affected the show or if there was any relation or correlation or anything like that. And so this was not my first time seeing the movie. I think I may have seen it when it originally came on. And so I remember quite a bit about the movie, and I've seen it several times. Overall, I'll be quite honest, the movie was just okay. It is the writing was actually I thought pretty consistent with the way they wrote the characters, so it was consistent with the show itself. So they kept the sense of humor in the series that was there. Now without the laugh track, it pushes it a little, but the sense of humor was there if you actually sit and listen to it. The pace was a little slower in the movie than the TV show itself. I know it was 2 hours, so they had to spread it out. So the pace was a little slower. Like I said, overall, the movie was just okay. And I think that's something I told Brandon overall when I watched, based upon what I remember. Now, what I saw was some of it was a little better than I thought, meaning the whole movie made sense, but the movie just felt very dated, and it was 1982. But I've seen some movies that are years old and didn't feel dated. This one just felt dated, and it was just seemed like the pace was slower. All right, Brandon, your thoughts?
Yeah, so first of all, before even getting into my overall thoughts about yeah, The Facts of Life Goes to Paris, I actually want to speak a little bit about my thoughts overall about TV movies.
All right, and what are your thoughts, Brandon?
So I think that there's an interesting difference, and Mom, you can please feel free to let me know if you agree. A difference between a TV movie and like a standalone one, such as like the holiday ones, such as those that we've spoken about before on the channel, and now for streaming, and then the ones that are made based off of existing TV shows.
Yes, there is. There is. And I will also say this they went to Europe. There was kind of a trend for shows going to Europe in the 80s that we've kind of discovered also. But go ahead, Brandon.
Yes, well, all that to say though is for these types of made for television movies, I'm not always that particularly fond of them as a whole. I'm not necessarily speaking about one in particular as opposed to another. Usually, just in the sense of that, it just seems that oftentimes there's a lot of like overacting and or the characters not really being in character as shown by the show, and and just even how it's really portrayed, because it might be where we go to this great location, but just the film or videotape quality just doesn't match up. Um, but that being said, heading into this movie, I didn't really have the biggest of expectations. I had never seen the special before, or this TV movie. but overall, it's not as bad as I thought. But to like what you were saying, it does seem dated. I had to look up to see whether this was like videotape or not, and I can't really find anything definitively one or the other. But yeah, it just seemed off just a little, but not as much as my normal thoughts about TV movies, if that makes any sense.
It does make a lot of sense and is consistent with what we've kind of talked about off camera that yes, there's nothing really overall wrong with the movie. The It's just the pace is a little slower, and if for the most part it stayed with the character consistency, we weren't as fond of some of the plot points and how they did it, but the movie itself was it was just okay. I mean, that's basically all I can say is just okay.
Yes, but mom, and watching this as we were heading into parts 3 and 4. So for a little bit of background, is that the movie was split up into 4 episodes, and so there are some scenes that are taken out here and there. But overall, in syndications and 4 episodes, and so that's how we watched it. But I did want to say that in the third and fourth parts, that I started coming up with trying to figure out why exactly is it that I think that this feels off. Because as you're saying, the the characters on this TV movie do seem in character to the show. It's just why does it not feel like the show that we think? And so I think it actually has to do with um, where exactly the characters are, and then sort of what the premise is, in the sense that these 4 characters of Blair, 2D, Natalie, and Joe, that they typically work best together or sort of in pairings. But in this TV movie, they're largely by themselves.
They are largely by themselves. Even Mrs. Garrett's by herself, and so it is interesting to watch how Jo goes off by herself. Now, she does say that she's going to see Le Mans. That's what she wants to do. She ends up meeting a young gentleman along the way, but she didn't have that person to play against. She doesn't have Belair to play against, or even the other girls to play against. She's by herself, having her exploring, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that in this case, it doesn't work as well. And then Blair is also, for the most part, by herself. She sees the girls. She does see Mrs. Garrett, but she is for the most part by herself. And once more, nothing wrong with it. It just didn't play well because she once more didn't have anyone to speak to. And so, or at least I say character plot wise, with the original cast.
Well, Mom, I mean, even thinking about Natalie and Tootie, I mean, both of them are together, but then they aren't really the focus of their own story. Instead, this new character of Garth Kiley, who's in the main credits, I believe, even with the with credit, he's the main focus of their story. Someone that we've never seen before, never heard before, probably never hear from again after this movie. And I'm not saying that he's a bad addition to the movie, but he kind of takes away from that somewhat camaraderie that Tootie and Natalie have, in the sense that both their energies are put into GK.
Yep. No, I totally agree, Brandon. That's said very well.
Yeah, and overall, I mean, like I said, I don't think there's anything per se wrong with the movie, but I think we're also missing, per se, a sense of direction. Most of these episodes of the show, and I would say that this is a pretty, at least in my thought, a very sophisticated show, in the sense that there's usually a point, even if it's a silly point. There's a point to every episode, like whether it's an episode about someone trying to move in, someone graduating, someone trying to study for their finals, whatever the case may be. There is a point to each episode, but the point of this one is just the facts of life goes to Paris, the title. And so, I mean, we do that. We get to see what these characters will do in Paris, but we don't get to see what they do together in Paris. Instead, it's just, I don't think there's really a central plot structure other than that everything needs to get done by day 4.
Yeah, that is very true too. And then overall, when I was kind of watching, I was like, well, what did I learn? Like you said, did we learn anything from the movie in relation to the TV show itself? Or did it add to the series? And I didn't see where this movie added per se to the series. And I don't recall the girls ever talking about Paris. Maybe I missed a line somewhere, but I don't remember them talking about Paris. I will say I remember them telling jokes, the same jokes in the series that I heard that they said on the plane and in Paris, but never in relation to when I was in Paris. This happened. And then, except for one little scene, Mrs. Garrett talks about the Van Dykes, I believe. And did I get that name right, Brandon?
Something similar to that name.
Yes. And so this same couple or who she speaks about in the show at some point in time. But that is the only correlation that I've seen from the movie to the TV show. Please let us know if you notice anything out there. Let us know in the comments. We're happy to go take a look for it.
Yes, we definitely are. And yeah, I do find that interesting. I was surprised that we did get that name mentioned because in one of the later episodes, season 5, episode 1, it's mentioned from the Eastland superintendent to Mrs. Garrett that this person is a world traveler and they just come from their Europe travels, and so that name is mentioned. So at least there's some sort of consistency with the naming, even if this is largely a one-off.
Yes, yes.
And Mom, I guess I'm going to actually change it into a question for you. And so, we have both seen extensive amounts of the show. You've more than me, but overall, I mean, we have lots of episodes that are pivotal to the series, and lots of episodes that can sort of be standalone. Where would you put this TV movie?
This TV movie to me is a standalone. It really is. It you people can go. People have watched the series, the Facts of Life series, and have not seen this movie. You were one of them, and so the question would be: did this add for you?
Yeah, and I mean, to me, I don't. I thought it was nice being able to see them in a different adventure, in the sense that because I've seen so many uh, different shows and different episodes of The Facts of Life, this was new and refreshing. But in the same regard, I can't say that I really gained anything from this other than if I ever wanted to know what they would do in Paris, I now know. But I will say that I got a bit more amusement in actually watching some of the scenes that were cut from the movie.
Yeah, and that's something that I wanted to bring up also, Brandon. Go ahead and let them know about the scenes that we noticed was cut from, and we did watch this movie on TV, just so everyone knows. And but we did find it online. And what scene did you notice was cut, Brandon?
Well, first of all, going back to the name from earlier, so it was Mrs. Van de Kamp.
Okay, okay, great.
And yes, in terms of scenes, so the obvious scenes that we have seen are actually everything leading up to them getting to Paris. So apparently, we had them getting on an airport, and about to fly off to Paris. And in one of those scenes, we had Blair putting down her luggage, and this gentleman trying to sit next to her.
And who was that gentleman, Brandon? Let them know about the connection.
Yes. So the gentleman, who I don't believe has a name on the show because we only see him for a few seconds, but he is given credit, is the actor John Lindstrom.
Yes, from both of our shows, General Hospital, Kevin/Ryan on General Hospital, and then Joey on Beyond the Gates.
Yes, and so he and the scene are a cut from the syndicated version, and so again, I don't know while it's fully accurate. I did read somewhere that the film itself was 100 minutes long, whereas it was cut into 22-minute 4 episodes.
Yes, and I will say this: the if you do watch it on, I think we saw it on YouTube, but if we do watch that version, just to know that seeing that first 5 minutes actually made a big difference because all the exposition of why they were going was actually given in those first 5 minutes. And I thought that was incredibly important. And I'm sorry that they decided that was what they were going to cut off when they did put it on Tubi. So if you happen to watch the movie, go back and watch the first 5 minutes that's on YouTube.
Yes, definitely go check it out. You can find pieces of it online. And Mom, I did want to also mention that we had someone we had another familiar face that showed up within the movie.
All right, what's the other connection, Brandon?
Well, not necessarily a connection with anything outside, but I will say that we had the actress Chip Fields.
Yes, we did. We had, well, I should say, Tootie's mother was her real mother was on the movie itself. So Kim Field's mother was on the movie.
Yes, and different episodes of The Facts of Life, she also plays Tootie's mother, but apparently not in this one.
Yes, this time she was a manager.
Yes, but not with that. I thought it was kind of funny because, well, first of all, we saw her name in the credits, so we knew she was going to be there. So we're like, oh, well, maybe Tootie brought her mom, but nope, it's the manager of the Garth Kylie person we met. But it's funny because when she walked in, she made eye contact with Tootie and sort of held it for a second before actually speaking to Garth Kylie and not saying a word to anyone else.
Yeah, that's funny. I didn't catch that. That's a good catch, Brandon.
But yeah, I definitely thought it was humorous. But I'm glad that that little bonus could be included. I just thought it was interesting since they did decide to include her to not make her Tootie's mom because I mean I think that would make sense in canon.
Yeah, it would make sense. Yes, but I guess they wanted the girls to have their own adventure, so that was a way to let the girls continue having their adventure.
But yes, were you surprised at all about what each of the characters did?
Well, Brandon, because I've seen this so many times, I was not surprised. So no, so it didn't surprise me, and so it's really a better question for you as if you were surprised.
Not necessarily. I think if anything, I think what they're going for in terms of some sort of surprise factor is that Blair opted to spend it by herself.
Yes, and that was refreshing. I will say that for Joe, the character. Even though we kind of wanted her to kind of work with someone else, it was refreshing to see that she's exploring herself.
Yeah, even though there are several people, gentlemen, throughout the episode or throughout the movie that go up to Blair. I mean, she does decide to spend it by herself. Meanwhile, Joe, no one seems, aside from Mrs. Garrett at the end, no one seemed that concerned that Joe was just missing this entire time.
Yeah, and that's something I also had a problem with while watching the show is that even the sister school where they were at, they just kind of dropped it that they left there and we're assuming that they got in contact with Mrs. Garrett. We never saw any of that occur on on in the movie itself, and so that's kind of troublesome. And the fact, and also that Mrs. Garrett, when she does see the children, we really don't see her reaction. We see her when she initially sees the kids, but not the realization that, oh gosh, the kids aren't where they're supposed to be.
And speaking of that, we don't really get a chance, at least in the syndicated episode version format, that we don't really get to see what Mrs. Garrett really says. See them where they sort of all broke into her room, but we don't see what happens after that point. So I'm interested in going back to the film version, the full length one, to see if there's an extended scene because again I've read that somewhere it's 100 minutes and then syndicated is about 88. I'm curious as to where they took the extra time from.
Yeah. Well, you have to let me know, Brandon. I'll let you do the research on that one.
Well, Mom, I think that that's just going to have to require writing. I don't think anyone's written about the missing scenes, although they should.
Yeah, they should. All right, Brandon. Anything else that you'd like to discuss?
No, not necessarily. I'm just glad that we're able to, like I said, to discuss this TV movie. And overall, I think our general consensus is not the best, not the worst, but not as bad as we thought.
Yes, and then I like to rate the TV shows one to five, five being the highest. I gave this one a 2.5.
Mom, I'm gonna have to agree with that. I just say it's okay. I'm glad that I finally had a chance to see it, just because I've seen the name over the place. I've never seen either of the TV movies prior to this point, but it was nice seeing them in a new adventure. But this wasn't. It didn't really add anything to the series for me,
All right. All right. Well, we thank everybody for watching today.
and we look forward to seeing you next time.
All right. Have a great day, everybody.